Hey guys, welcome back again to another video. So today we're going to be reviewing episode 8, of Halo the series. But I want to address, before any of that, I want to address something. The reason I did not review episode 7 is because, it was so mediocre. I would be mostly just, crapping on it. So it really wasn't worth it to make a video review on it if I'm not going to be really positive about it, as it was just it wasn't really good. It wasn't. So I would probably just consider it, non-existent, I guess, at least to me anyway, because I didn't like it that much. So I want to address that before we get into reviewing episode 8. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. So the episode starts with Chief and Maquis, I guess, going out of her room and hello, is the UNSC this dumb? Literally a Covenant spy just walking up and about. Anyway, moving on to the next image. So they are going for a walk outside where they have a conversation where, I guess, just about, because it was a line that Maquis said, and she told the Chief what it meant, which was from an old book that her friend gave her when she was a child. As we've seen in episode 3, where that happened, and it was revealed how she ended up being in the Covenant in the first place. Anyway, moving on. So, and here's an image of that said book called I can't really read it. The Darkness of Angel. I think that's what the title said. I couldn't really read it out that much, and there's obviously a kind of image on the right of a man and a woman, I guess, embracing each other, seemingly in love and all that. Maybe that was a prelude of what's to come. You'll see. Anyway, moving on, and it is revealed that Oni is spying on them through a drone. Of course, you know how Oni is, So anyway, moving on, where Captain Keyes, I should say, and Paragosker are having an argument about John. He's literally just walking about, pretty much with, a prisoner, and Keyes argues that, Chief is still doing his job, while Paragosker feels that he's completely changed. Which he has, considering that he's not really indoctrinated anymore, compared to the other Spartans. Riz and, I forgot the other guy's name. Anyway, moving on. It goes back to Chief and Maquis, where Chief asks Maquis, why do the Covenant want the Halo Ring so bad? Why are they after it so badly? And Maquis reveals it's part of a great journey, and Chief asks why is humanity unworthy? And Maquis, responded with, from what I could see, humanity aren't worthy of anything. So anyway, moving on to the next one. And it's revealed through footage that the Covenant have glassed some kind of place called Criterion, and I guess remaining ships in the vicinity are trying to find survivors, hopefully, after the planet is being glassed. I love how we actually see, this show kind of shows where the Covenant have actually glassed a planet, because we haven't really seen that in the show up to this point. So I thought that was really cool. So that's good. Show more of this, because it's pretty nice, because it actually kind of delves more into just the horrors that the Covenant did during the Covenant War in core canon. Anyway, moving on. And while everyone's watching this, Murakowski is saying, essentially Keyes was calling them to call it off, and Chief argues with them, saying that because last time they tried to use Maquis to find the Covenant planet, it led them to nowhere, and Chief argues that we can essentially take away years of indoctrination. After Keyes argues that they couldn't, and Chief argues, I did. Which is what happened after he removed that thing in the spine, as we see a few episodes ago. And obviously Kai has done it too. So, moving on to the next one. So, while Miranda is trying to translate the Covenant log, she keeps, other parts will show her actually doing that still, and eventually she actually does it. And that leads up to the climax of the episode, but we'll get to that later. So, Miranda's asking, Jacob, like, when are they going to do the whole thing with Maki getting a look at the artifact? And, well, we'll see. Anyway, moving on. And it's revealed that Ritz and her partner, I keep forgetting his name for some reason. I'll have to look into that later. Anyway, where they're trying to read navigational data on the Covenant Phantom, and it's super advanced, where he says that the Covenant are maybe, homicidal or whatever, but they're not stupid. Which, because they can't figure it out, the navigational data for the Phantom that they captured back in episode 1. So I was wondering when we would see that again, and there you go. So anyway, moving on. This is definitely the what in the hell moment. Like, Chief and Maki in a romance? Like, I know those, like, teases at episode 6, but it's, like, full-blown sexy. Hello? What the hell was that? And to top it all off, it is revealed that Cortana was watching it the whole dang time. Like, what? That was so, like, out of nowhere. Like, wow, they really went there. Wow. Anyway, moving on. So after the sex scene is over, it seems that Maki, while John was asleep, she seemed like, taking apart, I guess, the index of her finger, which is where the little energy blade that she has is, placed. I get, like, she, like, full-blown removes it, pretty much. Kind of symbolizing that she fully trusts Chief. And I guess they're now in a relationship or something. Like, that was so out of nowhere because of how connected they are. I certainly didn't see that coming, and I don't think any of you did. Until, the end of episode 6, but wow, they did a full-blown romance. I did not... Oh, that was such a what the hell moment. Let's be honest, I think it probably will be one of the most wildest ones of the entire season so far. Anyway, moving on. And after a conversation with Cortana and Halsey, it seems Halsey is, like, I don't know, jealous, I guess? That Chief has actually found someone that to be really close to other than her. We'll get into that later. So, anyway, moving on. And Jacob comes by to essentially say goodbye. And because they get into a whole argument about Halsey, how she's kind of ruined every relationship she has had. Like Keys, John, her, Miranda, etc. And yes, how much are you willing to sacrifice? And Halsey replies, everything. She's willing to sacrifice everything for the future of humanity. I mean, especially with how, he had essentially Keys pulled some strings, seemingly for her stuff to be sent to her ship, as Parangoski wants her off of reach completely. Anyway, moving on. And Dr. Halsey decides to introduce herself to Maki, and it seems throughout the conversation, that she's starting to plant seeds of doubt in Maki's mind about humanity as a whole, like, kind of slandering, I guess, her and humanity as a whole for some reason. It is so bizarre. But anyway, moving on. And as Halsey is ordering the rest of the Silver Team to gather up the artifact, Chief and Maki, and about the others, when Kai asked about Chief, Halsey says that Chief can no longer be trusted to follow orders. So, a common theme ever since episode 1 of this show. So anyway, moving on. And when Kai tries to reason, the rest of the Silver Team beat her up, knock her out, and essentially take her somewhere to where she cannot interfere anymore than she already was. That will come back. We'll get back to that later. Anyway, moving on. And back in the elevator, Maki asks Chief, what does he plan to do when he finds the Healer Ring? And Chief replies, destroy the Covenant and this war. And Maki asks again, what about after? And she was like, we'll see. So that's it for that. Anyway, moving on. Cortana, after realizing what Halsey's trying to do, she tries to warn Chief, but Chief, is very reluctant to listen to her because that he wants nothing to do with her. So eventually he orders Maki to run because he actually starts listening to Cortana, and it ends up working out for him because he gets ambushed. So that's why he told Maki to flee, and it was a good thing he did, because she definitely would have gotten hurt if she got involved in the fight between Chief and the rest of the Silver Team, namely Ritz and the other guy. But he's a damn good Spartan though. So, and next scene, like Chief actually gets a hold of his weapon, and Ritz just absolutely destroys it. And so, obviously, leaving Chief outnumbered, Cortana decides to get involved by warning Chief of what to get out of the way, as she actually manually takes control of a Warhawk and rams this guy into the freaking wall, like kind of essentially containing him for the moment, while Chief focuses on dealing with the other one. So, and as they're about to finish him off, Kai comes back after being chained up and evens things out, and ends up leaving the rest of the team in a stalemate, essentially to end off. And to top this all off, when Miranda reveals that Maki was in the audio log, and they start essentially try to take out Maki, kind of like how, remember when back in episode 3 in that flashback, she was getting vivid memories of that, and when Paragoski said this is the end for you and the Covenant, and Maki replies in the same thing, no, this is the end of you, and touches the artifact, completely wiping out everybody, and somehow Chief is shown back on the ring, and Maki essentially tells Chief goodbye, and that's essentially the end of the episode. Wow, like, what an episode that was. Like, that was so wild, especially the whole sex scene and all that. Like, jeez. Like, wow. Like, who would have expected that, considering the whole, her being raised by the Covenant to hate humanity, but, like, that was definitely the biggest what the fuck moment of the entire season, in my opinion. And based on reactions I've seen on Twitter, yeah. It was definitely, a lot of people agree with me on that. But what do I think of the episode overall? I think it was pretty good. It was actually cool to see Spartans actually fight each other, hand-to-hand combat mostly. It was pretty darn awesome. So, and I guess the big revelation is that Cortana essentially chose to be, her allegiance to John instead of Halsey. So what number would I give this episode? I would give it a 6.5. It's okay. I was 6.5 to a 7. So it's definitely better than episode 7, that's for sure. But it doesn't stack up to ones like episode 5. I mean, come on, guys. Give us more action scenes instead of like a fucking sex scene. Like, really? Like, that was definitely the most WTF moment. Absolutely, for sure. But yeah, the actual combat with like the Spartans and all that was pretty darn awesome. That was pretty cool. Since we never really got to see that, so that was pretty awesome. I like that. So anyway, that's it for this video. If you've seen episode 8, let me know down in the comment section below. And we got one more. Then we're done with season 1. So it's gonna be interesting to see where this all plays out, and how the season ends as we roll into season 2. I'm gonna assume that episode 9 will end with the essentially beginning the fall of Reach. That will probably season 2 will be about. So hopefully. So, but anyway, that's it for this video. If you like this video, hit the like button. Helps out the channel a lot. Comment down below and consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on any more content. And I'll see you all in the next video. Later.